This is Daily Homeless News, where tell the stories no one else will. Florida. The land of white sand beaches, luxury high-rises, and million-dollar vacations. But behind the palm trees and tourist postcards lies a far more painful reality. One that doesn't make it into the brochures or press releases. It's a crisis brewing quietly and cruelly in the shadows: homelessness. Today, let's uncover the true face of the homelessness crisis hidden behind Florida's glamorous facade. If you find value in shedding light on stories like these, please hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. Your support helps us continue exploring critical issues such as homelessness, economic disparity, and social justice. Together, we can amplify voices that need to be heard and inspire meaningful action. Don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear what you think about the challenges faced by those homeless in America. In 2023, Florida recorded 30,809 people experiencing homelessness. By 2024, that figure rose to 31,362, a troubling increase underscoring an escalating crisis. Over 31,000 individuals are caught in a cycle of instability, struggling daily just to survive. Yet official narratives often portray these shifts as signs of progress. But beneath the surface, the reality tells a different story. Shelter availability has notably declined, with access to temporary beds shrinking by more than 5% over the past year. Simultaneously, the number of unsheltered individuals, those forced to sleep outdoors, has surged by nearly 10%. These figures aren't random fluctuations. They are direct outcomes of policy choices aimed more at obscuring the issue than addressing its root causes. Florida, renowned as the Sunshine State, casts shadows of hardship on those unable to afford its rising cost of living. Contrary to misconceptions, homelessness in America isn't a lifestyle choice. It emerges when rents spike suddenly, wages stagnate, illness strikes unexpectedly, or someone flees domestic abuse with nowhere safe to land. It's a symptom of a broader systemic failure, one that punishes vulnerability rather than providing support. This crisis didn't appear overnight. It was shaped by decades of housing neglect, inadequate mental health services, and the mistaken assumption that private charities could shoulder responsibilities abandoned by political leaders. Today, Florida faces not just a statistical increase, but a moral crisis. Lives are impacted by policies that criminalize public sleeping without offering viable alternatives. Press conferences and political statements often gloss over this harsh reality, presenting superficial solutions while the fundamental problems persist. The critical question now is clear. How severe must the situation become before decisive action replaces empty rhetoric? How many more must endure hardship on Florida streets before we collectively acknowledge that the system is failing and commit to meaningful change? The state doesn't need more promises. It needs action now. Florida's approach to social welfare is less a net and more receive. For a state that wears limited government like a badge of honor and champions the idea of rugged individualism, the message is clear. If you fall, don't expect a hand to help you up. There's no cushion, only concrete. In 2024, Governor Ron DeSantis approved HB 1365, a law that on its face claims to restore public order by prohibiting individuals from sleeping, resting, or setting up camp in parks, on sidewalks, or even on Florida's public beaches. But let's call it what it is, a crackdown on homelessness disguised as a public safety policy. The bill doesn't offer protection, it imposes punishment. It makes it possible for private citizens and business owners to sue city governments if they don't enforce the ban. It doesn't just criminalize poverty. It turns it into a legal liability.
The cops give us no rest. I mean, we can't even sleep at the park anymore because it's against the health department code to camp. I mean, even if we sleep here, we get ticketed. You know, there was one night I couldn't even get a full hour of sleep because I was getting woken up by cops and told to go from place to place. And I would just go and lay down and get woken up an hour later, go lay down another place and get woken up. I mean, I had like 5 tickets that night.
Even worse, this legislation mandates that municipalities provide alternative encampments or shelters, but gives them no significant funding, no infrastructure support, no concrete direction. Local governments are left scrambling, improvising, stretching already thin resources. Some counties might erect makeshift tent zones. Others might rely on underfunded nonprofits or just push people out of sight. Fragmented systems, inconsistent responses, and vulnerable people forced deeper into the shadows, onto riverbanks, wooded areas, or abandoned lots far from help, visibility, or safety. HB 1365 isn't about fixing homelessness. It's about erasing it from view. It gives the illusion of action without addressing the roots of the crisis. It's the kind of policy that looks decisive in a press release but disintegrates the moment it meets the complexity of human suffering. Let's be honest, this is not governance. It's negligence dressed up as order. Homelessness isn't just a personal tragedy, it's a full-blown public emergency that affects every part of a community. When people don't have stable housing, the consequences ripple far beyond the individuals living on the streets. Hospitals end up overwhelmed with health issues that could have been prevented with basic shelter and hygiene. Law enforcement becomes the default crisis responder, using valuable resources to deal with nonviolent incidents rooted in poverty, mental illness, or addiction. Meanwhile, neighborhoods become tense and divided as frustration and fear replace compassion and empathy. This isn't just speculation. It's the lived reality in cities and towns across Florida. What few officials are willing to say out loud is this: it's more costly to criminalize homelessness than it is to solve it. Decades of research have confirmed it. Arrests, emergency room visits, jail time, court proceedings, and constant displacement add up, not just in dollars, but in social decay. In contrast, permanent supportive housing programs, especially those based on the Housing First model, consistently show better results for less money. Yet Florida continues to throw money at temporary fixes. Millions are poured into policing encampments, enforcing anti-camping ordinances, and shuffling people from one place to another without ever addressing the root causes. These efforts may satisfy political talking points, but they don't solve the crisis. They simply push it out of sight until it resurfaces in another neighborhood, another news cycle, another statistic. Now ask yourself this: what would it look like if we used that same money to provide real housing, comprehensive treatment, and proactive prevention? What if those funds were invested in transitional housing, mental health care, job training, or rental assistance programs that actually move people out of homelessness instead of trapping them in it? These aren't just hypothetical questions. They point to a path forward, a path that prioritizes people over optics, solutions over sound bites. It's time to stop managing homelessness like it's a nuisance to be hidden. It's a policy failure that can be corrected if the will exists. Florida's homelessness crisis is not spread evenly. It's concentrated in some of the most developed, most economically powerful parts of the state, an irony that cuts deep. Miami-Dade leads the state with over 4,200 homeless individuals as of 2024. Here, luxury condos tower over encampments hidden beneath highway overpasses. In a city known for billion-dollar real estate, thousands of residents sleep on concrete. If that doesn't make you pause, ask yourself what kind of prosperity tolerates this level of disparity. In Orange County, home to Orlando, Disney World, and countless tourist attractions, nearly 3,000 people are unhoused. Meanwhile, hotel rooms go vacant, and private rentals sit empty, priced far out of reach for working families. Hillsborough County, Broward, and Palm Beach aren't far behind. The crisis is statewide, and it's growing. Housing costs are skyrocketing. Wages are not. And the state's answer? More rules about where people can and cannot sleep, while doing next to nothing to help them find a place to live. This crisis didn't erupt overnight. Florida's homelessness disaster has been decades in the making, a slow-burning tragedy fueled by political complacency and an unshakable obsession with the free market. While glossy development brochures boast luxury condos and booming real estate markets, the truth on the ground tells a very different story. At the heart of the issue lies a brutal and growing shortage of affordable housing. Across Florida, there are just 34 affordable and available rental units for every 100 extremely low-income renter households. That means nearly 2/3 of the people who need affordable housing the most are left stranded, competing for limited space or forced into impossible choices. Many end up on couches, in cars, or out on the street. The rental market has turned ruthless. In cities like Miami, Tampa, and Orlando, rents have surged to unbearable levels, rising faster than wages can keep up. Entire working-class communities are being priced out of neighborhoods they've called home for generations. Even folks with decent jobs are struggling. So when a low-income family is hit with an unexpected car repair bill, a missed shift, or a trip to the ER, there's often nothing left in the tank. That's all it takes to go from surviving to homeless. On top of the economic pressure, Florida faces something most states don't experience at the same level: devastating natural disasters. Hurricanes, flooding, and violent storms strike with growing frequency and intensity, wiping out already precarious housing for families living on the edge. After Hurricane Ian, the spike in homelessness wasn't gradual, it was immediate and brutal. And what followed? Not nearly enough. Long-term housing recovery plans were either inadequate or absent altogether, leaving thousands scrambling to rebuild their lives on their own. Then there's the health crisis, which Florida's policies continue to ignore. Nearly 30% of the state's homeless population is battling serious mental health disorders or substance addiction. But instead of treatment, they get ticketed, arrested, or brushed aside like a public nuisance. There's no real safety net, just a revolving door between the street, the EAR, and jail. This is the deeper reality behind homelessness in America. It's not just tents on sidewalks or tarps under overpasses. It's about systemic neglect. It's about policies that favor developers over communities, punishment over healing, and short-term image over long-term impact. Every person living unsheltered in Florida today is a testament to decisions made or not made by people in power. And unless that changes, the numbers will only get worse. Florida lawmakers love to talk tough on cleaning up the streets. In 2024, they passed HB 1365, a law that bans public camping and allows private citizens to sue local governments that don't enforce the ban. The law was championed as a way to restore order and protect public space. But in reality, it's another blow to people already struggling to survive. Cities and counties are scrambling to comply with the law, but they've been given little to no support. No blueprint, no money, just mandates. Miami-Dade and Orange County officials have already voiced concerns that they simply don't have enough shelter beds to comply. And even if more shelters are created, that's not a long-term solution. Shelters are temporary. What Florida needs is permanent, affordable, supportive housing and policies that prevent people from falling into homelessness in the first place. The state's current approach is like mopping up a flood with a paper towel. It doesn't fix the leak, it just pushes the water around. If Florida is going to make real progress on homelessness, we have to stop playing around the edges and get to the root: housing. Not more high-end condos or vacation rentals snapped up by out-of-state investors. We need affordable, stable homes for everyday people who live and work here. That starts with statewide investments in deeply affordable housing. Not just units priced below market, but truly accessible to those earning the least. We also need rental assistance and strong eviction prevention programs so people don't fall into homelessness in the first place. Mental health and substance abuse services must be expanded and made easier to access. Add to that job training, legal help, and housing support for those trying to rebuild after losing everything. But perhaps the most important step is rewriting the narrative. Homelessness isn't about bad choices or broken people, it's about broken systems. We know it works. Housing First programs have cut chronic homelessness by as much as 80% in some cities. These models provide homes without conditions, then follow up with support services. They're more compassionate, more effective, and in the long run, cheaper. But they require leadership. They require vision. Unfortunately, Florida's leaders have shown little interest in either. This isn't just a Florida issue. And it's not something confined to big cities, it's a nationwide crisis. The homeless in America crisis. And we can't afford to keep waiting for lawmakers to suddenly grow a conscience. Real change has always come from the ground up, driven by people who refuse to look away. That's where you come in. You can support local organizations that are doing the hard, often invisible work every single day. You can speak out in favor of affordable housing in your community and challenge harmful policies and rhetoric that target the homeless. Whether it's volunteering, donating, or simply standing up and saying, "This isn't right," your voice matters. Because silence isn't neutral, it's a decision. And when we stay quiet, we allow suffering to go unnoticed. But when we speak up, we give those living on the margins a chance to be heard, to be seen, and to be treated with the dignity every human deserves. Florida is a state known for its sunshine. But what good is all that sunlight if it only shines on the lucky few? Homelessness is not inevitable. It's not natural. It's the result of decisions about funding, about priorities, about who gets to belong and who gets pushed out. So if this story moved you, if it made you angry, sad, frustrated, or just aware, don't scroll past. Leave a comment below. Share this video. Subscribe on Daily Homeless News. Because this isn't just content, it's a cry for help. Let's remind everyone watching that homeless in America is a crisis we can no longer ignore.